Good morning, this is Sue at MageeNews.com, and I appreciate you visiting with us today. I am so glad to have Mr. Ray Weathersby with me. Mr. Weathersby grew up in Magee, moved away, and has come back, and is looking into the history of our community, especially into the black community. There were some things that he told me this morning, and he had told Miss Gail Hederman at the chamber that we thought were so interesting, and I felt like many of you would need to would enjoy hearing these facts and information about some things he's gleaned. One thing that was interesting, he told me they called him the grave digger because he goes to cemeteries around here a lot to pursue his research. But it was interesting when he told me that the actual schools for the black communities began in the church. And you were talking about that they really came out of Zion Hill Church.
Well, Zion Hill was the mother church. And I believe the first one was down on a place we call Hall Pond.
I know where that is. Hall Pond.
And that's Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church. And from there, as the farm workers bought land and expanded from the Weathersby area into Mary Grove and Zion Hill, they set up their own school at the Zion Hill Missionary Church.
Most of these schools that were connected to churches, how long, what grades did they go through? Or did they have grades?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. They had grades, but only one teacher who taught all classes from about the first grade, or they called it something other than first grade. Primary education. And if you could write and read and go to the bathroom back then, you could go at 4 or 5.
Uh-huh.
And then the school went from first grade to 8th grade for accreditation. And we found that many of the students of those, I'd call middle elementary or middle high school graduates, taught the first graders in the pre-primary.
They would just work back together.
Yeah.
Well, I was familiar all my growing up years with the school over in Goodwater.
Yeah.
When was that school started? Do you know?
Goodwater had a school similar to Mary Grove.
Okay, but when was the decision made to move everybody into this central location?
The decision was made by the politicians back, or legislature of the state, back in 1949, 50.
So right in there, they made the decision to bring the schools, consolidate the schools.
Right.
And that's where you came with the Magee Consolidated School.
Yes.
But it was actually called the Magee Colored School, right? And then y'all changed it, or how did that work?
I believe the initial name of the school was Magee Consolidated High School, I believe. And in later years, that lasted until about 1950, from 49 to about 1958. That's when they changed the name again from Magee Consolidated High School to McLaurin Vocational Attendance Center, which was a school that lasted until integration occurred in 1971. Yes.
I always had such admiration for the school over, as I'll have to just say, we refer to it as in the quarters.
Right.
I never thought of that as being a slur. Isn't that funny? Right. That never, to me, because I always thought of the New Orleans French Quarters, so I always thought, but I later years learned I did not need to say in the quarters, I needed to say in Goodwater, because it was offensive. And you know, I didn't want to be offensive, but I didn't know it. But did you have sports and activities? Did you have a full range in McLaurin?
Well, when I was in high school and were asked by college recruiter how big Magee was.
Mm-hmm.
Magee Consolidated was 400 students. That's
1 through 12?
Consolidated meaning 1 through 12.
Had 400 students.
Right. Now, out of that 400 students, we had coaches in football, baseball, basketball, mainly football and basketball. Some track, but limited. But the thing about it was, farm boys are in tip-top physical condition,
right,
24/7, because they plow all day in the sun that bakes them all day, and then they practice from about 6:30, 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. The city coaches from Jackson, one particularly I remember his name, Bob Hill. He also coached Walter Payton at Jackson State when he became a college coach. So I always felt good that, you know, the good old quarters was able to produce a coach by not losing any games hardly. You know, while he was there, we lost, you know, we played schools like Hattiesburg High School that was black. And we would fight them tooth and nails. They would come up with 5 buses full of football.
Yeah, all dressed up, all their gear.
And we would run all the way from we would run from the gym, you know,
to make an appearance.
And we ain't only 22, so the coach would always say, stagger it every 10 yards.
So you look like a lot of people.
And on top of that, I was a little quarterback and probably one of the smallest football players. I would be the point person in the line. So I took off, you know, not knowing how to gauge, you know, the pace of, and inevitably, you know, that was the highlight for the first 2 years on the varsity of my career. I never played until my junior and senior year.
But you were the point man.
I was the point man.
But you know, that's so interesting to me because my daddy was such a sports fanatic. And of course with it Father's Day coming up and that type of thing, I think of my daddy even more, which I absolutely adored him. But anyway, he took me all the time and we sat on the hill, which I don't even know where the hill would be now.
I know.
But we sat on the hill and watched the black football teams play. Because we had one of the most outstanding teams in the state at that time.
We did
but
too.
also he was very, and he realized, you know, the opportunities, and I would go over there and watch. I grew up sitting on the hill watching them play.
A person that you should respect is 2. One was named became a general. Ezel Ware was a left-handed quarterback. And Coach Ernest Jane, who became a coach at the white school and an assistant principal. So they taught me how to be a good quarterback. And my competitive nature would be, I can't run as far as they can or fast as they can. What can I do? I said, I'll outsmart everybody.
That's right. That's where your quarterbacking comes in.
That's where it comes. And when we was in a huddle and getting tore up on the right side of the line, I just tell them, go left.
That's right. Go left.
Don't
Sometimes
just go up in the line, go left, you know.
That's right.
And if they were stacked up on the left, go right.
Well, as you can tell, Ray has a lot of stories to share with us, and I hope that you will send your stories in and come by sometimes and tape with me and give your stories about things that happened in your past, or, you know, it can be about anything that has to do with Magee, because all of you know that I just love and adore Magee. It's a great day. It's a beautiful day here in Magee, and I'm glad to have made a new friend, and I look forward to your continuing to watch MageeNews.com.